everyone, oh my god, there's breaking news. It turns out that the president of Sony, Tom PlayStation, has broken into the House of Mouse, beat Mickey to death, took Tom Holland by the balls, and they rode off into the sunset with a horse that could actually spin spiderwebs. So the horse, Tom's PlayStation, holding a horse, swung out of there. And now Spider-Man is completely out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Disney is just sitting there burning alive. The horror. Hi guys, this video is completely unscripted, as you can tell. So, this is the fourth time recording this, because it seems like every time I record something and try to edit it into some sort of weird video, and then try to upload it, first it got blocked, and then I was like, okay, time to take out the stuff where it made it look like an actual video and see what happens. And then I decided, man, this video is really long, so here I am recording for a fourth time. So for everyone that has just discovered internet and realized that it's not the 18th century anymore, Disney and Sony, through a renegotiation attempt for the Spider-Man license, the deal has fallen through, and for the foreseeable future, Spider-Man will no longer be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Sony solo-produced films will no longer be able to use the Marvel Cinematic Universe characters, nor mention anything having to do with that. So this has generally caused some confusion. Sony themselves has actually put out a statement saying there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot that people crapped out as soon as this happened, as soon as this went live, and now this is where people believe things. Since, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. I think it was the day before. Since then, things have kind of calmed down a little bit. Everyone can look at what happened. But over the following days, there may be more stuff that comes out. So for now, I don't know. This is being recorded on August 22nd. So if something else comes up tomorrow, I don't know what to say. So first things first, a lot of people are under the impression that Tom Holland has been fired from being Spider-Man. That's incorrect. Tom Holland has a current acting contract that has him slated for 2 more appearances as Spider-Man. The only thing that's kind of a discrepancy right now is that no one's sure if it's 2 more appearances as Spider-Man in other films, or if it's 2 more Spider-Man solo films. No one knows yet. So no one's actually sure if it'll be 2 more films of actual Spider-Man, or if Tom Holland will just appear as Spider-Man in 2 more Sony movies, because they've already said that they have a bunch of plans for these Spider-Man-esque characters without the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of what actually happened, because I want to get that first question out of the way, because I've seen an ungodly amount of memes making fun of the fact that Tom Holland got fired, which he didn't. He did not get fired, but a ton of memes were, hey, it's Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland. They're talking because they both got fired from being Spider-Man. That didn't happen. Andrew Garfield got fired, but that's a completely different story. When Disney first approached Sony to make this deal, hey, we want Spider-Man to appear in these movies, Sony was like, okay, that's fine, but we get a return of we can make our own stuff in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that ties into it. And Disney was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And then Sony set up the deal where, okay, we get 95% of the film revenue from the solo-produced Spider-Man films, and you get 5%. And Disney was like, okay, that's fine. So that's been the general rule of thumb. I'm not sure of the profit split when it comes to Spider-Man appearing in the team-up films. I'm not sure if there is one. There may have been a stipulation where Sony was like, hey, we get 95%, with the stipulation that we don't really get anything for the team-up films. I don't know if that exists. This contract is weird. This is a very weird situation. But anyway, that's how it worked. A lot of people are under the impression that Disney came up to Sony. They were like, hey, we want to split this 50-50 now. And Sony's like, no, you're stupid. And then Disney, crying, was like, but we make the movies, so we deserve half at least. And Sony's like, no, you're evil, unlike us. And Sony's like, we're taking Spider-Man back. You guys like that voice demo reel? Thought I'd slip that right in there. Anyway, I want to make one thing clear. With the solo-produced Spider-Man films, Sony, it was a partnership between Sony and Marvel Studios. Disney themselves had not much to do with it. I don't think they really had anything to do with it. There might have been a couple $1,000s thrown around. I don't know. So with these solo produced films, what that means is that Sony is the one financing them. Sony is the one financing them with the help of Marvel Studios and with the help of Kevin Feige. That's the team that were making the solo produced Spider-Man films. Disney may have been a consultant at some point, but I don't know. I just know that their influence on these movies was not much. If anything, Kevin Feige was the only name of note, and he's from Marvel Studios, not Disney. So that's how these solo films work. Disney didn't really do anything. So this is the idea. That's the other thing. Disney owns Marvel. Marvel owns all the comics. The only thing Sony actually owns when it comes to Spider-Man is the film rights. So Disney themselves owns the TV rights, the comic book rights, the video game rights, the merchandise. So everything having to do with Spider-Man that isn't the film, Disney gets all the profit from that. Sony just has the film revenue. And since Sony is financing these films themselves, Disney came up, and now this is where some confliction happens. So I'm not sure. The original story was a 50-50 split. Now some people are saying that they originally approached him with a 30-70 split, that Disney would take 30, Sony would take 70. No one's really sure, but there is some more evidence that says that Disney suggested, hey, we'll help with the financing a little bit of these solo produced films if you give us a bigger cut. Now, this is where some weird stuff happens. Disney, you can tell from how this is all unfolded, Disney is gunning real hard for Spider-Man, but Sony's not letting him. There's this weird occurrence where Disney is offering to financially help with a bigger cut, and Sony's like, that scares us. No. So this is where everything happens. Sony was approached with either the 70-30 or the 50-50 split. Sony was like, no, that's not happening. But if you still want Spider-Man to appear in the MCU, that's totally fine with our current deal, the 95-5 split. That's fine because Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man. This whole menagerie of weirdness where Spider-Man has been appearing in the MCU is because Sony let Disney use the rights. Disney does not own Spider-Man, the film rights, in any way, shape, or form. So Sony was like, 95-5 split is okay. We can keep doing this partnership. Sony wants to be in the MCU. They want it desperately. But it got to a point where this deal was working out for us, and Disney's like, no, we want more money. And this is where the problem comes in, is that people in this instance, a lot of other instances, it's okay to refer to them as the same entity. But in this instance, Marvel Studios and Disney are two separate entities. Marvel Studios was working with Sony to make the solo produced films with the help of Kevin Feige. Disney had nothing to do with it. So Disney, the person who had almost nothing to do with it, is coming into Sony and say, hey, us ourselves at Disney, not Marvel Studios, is coming up and saying, hey, we want 50-50 with the help of our own financing. And for whatever reason, Sony didn't see that as a good move. I don't know why. That's business, but that's how it worked. So Sony was like, 95-5 split, we can keep going with this. Disney was like, no, we want 70-30 or we want 50-50. And that's it. So Sony was like, okay, bye. And no more Spider-Man. So I don't know what Disney's plan was, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't Sony bailing. I'm pretty sure they thought Sony would be like, yeah, you can help finance us. And that's the weird part. A lot of people are bringing up the fact that, or the allegation, that Disney offered to help as like, oh, they're offering to help. It's not like they want more money for doing nothing. They're offering to help. Well, if that's the case, then what's in it for them? Because there's always something in it for them. To get the trade-off is like, oh, we'll pay more if you pay us more. And what's the worth in that? And I think that's what scared Sony. And we're like, no. You stay over there and everything's fine. And then Disney's like, no, we want to, hey, let me come into your house. I just want to look over a little. I just want to look at things a little bit. I want to see, hey, what's that? That's a nice little vase. And Sony's like, no, get out of the door. Get. And then they kick him out. And then Twitter melted down. So as soon as this happened, Sony was the first one to talk. They were the first one to say, hey, Spider-Man, through some weird licensing issues, we couldn't reach an agreement. We're pulling out. and we're taking Spider-Man with us. So, understandably, the internet exploded. So there's been a bunch of tweets, a lot of theories, a lot of theories flying around. Some of the stupider ones. So for bigger context, Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man for the Amazing Spider-Man series. He was let go, to put it lightly. The theory is that there was a conference happening where they were going to announce the Amazing Spider-Man 3. Andrew Garfield couldn't show up for whatever reason. He was sick. He wasn't feeling well. I don't know. And because of that, the studio exec who was going to announce it fired the guy. So that was it. And then that's it. I'm sure there's more to it than just that, but that's the general central event that a lot of people refer to see what happened when the Amazing Spider-Man fell off. So after that, there was at one point, Andrew Garfield had said, and I can't remember what the quote was, but he had said something to the effect of he would be open to playing a gay Spider-Man. And a lot of people think Sony fired him because of that. It's not what happened. Maybe in a part of it, I don't know. But it was not the central event. Sony's not that stupid. At least I don't think. But a few months ago, Tom Holland had come out and said the same thing in an interview that was very loaded. Can't remember what the interview name was, but if you look at it, it's just paragraphs of text, and eventually Holland says something. The interviewer asked him, would you be open to playing a gay or a bi Spider-Man? And Tom Holland's like, yeah, I'd be fine with that. And that's it. So a lot of people are a shocking amount of people are under the impression that Tom Holland got fired, which he didn't. He's still in the project. He got let go because he said he was open to playing gay Spider-Man. Sony was like, no more gay. No the gay. Say no to the gay. Pray the gay away. That's what happened, but all right. The internet's weird. There's another theory going around that Kevin Feige had actually helped produce Into the Spider-Verse, and then he was not given proper credit. And then that's where this discrepancy was coming from. I find that hard to believe, because I don't know why Kevin Feige would have anything to do with Into the Spider-Verse. It was a Lord Miller production with 3 different directors, a huge team of animators, and not once did I ever see anything remotely influenced by Kevin Feige. So to me, it doesn't make sense. He could have, I don't know. But I'm saying probably not. So the internet exploded. There's been some theories going around that Disney has been using bots to get this issue blown way overboard, to see if they could get Sony to fold under public scrutiny. Now, whether or not that's true, there is a lot of people that are upset. So whether or not Disney did that, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it really mattered. I think just more people heard about it. If that is the case, I don't know. But now, ever since that happened, they're now saying renegotiation is possible. At least at the time of this recording. They've said, hey, renegotiation is possible, and then they said, no, it's not possible. They've been going back and forth. So that's where things lie. It's probably not possible for Spider-Man to come back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think Sony is done with Disney's crap, and they're just gonna do what they do with Spider-Man. So that's all the jargon. That's all the legal jargon. So let's get down to how I feel about it. How I feel about this split. Now, I think the proper emotion to have is caution. I know I put that crab thing in the beginning of this video, but I mean, I thought it was a funny thing because people would see it and immediately dislike it, and that makes me laugh. But I still think the proper emotion is to be cautious of what lies ahead. Because had Sony only released Spider-Verse last year, I would be totally okay with Sony pulling out, keeping Spider-Man for themselves. Unfortunately, Venom also came out last year, and I liked Venom. I liked it a lot, but you can see that something went wrong with that. A lot of critics didn't like it. I liked it. A lot of people liked it. And then Venom made a butt ton of money. So here's where things lie. I don't know if Sony's going to go the Venom route. Have their hands all in that junk and messing things about because Venom made a stupid amount of money. Or if they're going to go with Into the Spider-Verse, where they put all this passion into one thing, Sony keeps their hands off, and it doesn't make all the money in the world, but it far outshot their expectations. It had incredible legs in the theater, and artists are going nuts for this movie. I know. It's a great movie. I don't know if they're going to go with the generalization route, or if they're going to go with pleasing a niche crowd for the art's sake, I'm not sure if they're going to go with making a good movie first, or go with the thing that makes them the more money. So I don't know which direction they're going to take. But I also feel that, I think this is what it boils down to. Would you rather have a safe, assured, decent film franchise, or an unsafe, boundless, filled with possibilities, chance franchise? And I think I would go for the latter. Now, with this, and I think that's the thing that most people are missing, this deal at its base was weird. It was a strange deal, and there was that theory, or there was that rumor coming around that said the Homecoming and Far From Home writers were not allowed to use comic-accurate characters. Now, again, this was a rumor. This was never clarified. A lot of people said it could be plausible, but at the end of the day, it was never confirmed. Maybe we'll get to see something like that in the following days. Maybe someone will release, now that this deal is dead, they'll be like, hey, this is what the deal was, and then people will be able to see it. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I would rather see a movie try something and fail than see a movie that feels factory produced. Now, again, as I said in my Far From Home video, I liked Far From Home, but at the end of the day, I didn't see anything relating to character development. I didn't see things moving forward for this character. I didn't really see that. And that's my opinion. A lot of people did see that. A lot of people did see, this Peter Parker went through a character arc, and now he's at the final. He's become his own Spider-Man, and that's part of the problem for me personally. Is that I thought that's what the last movie was about, becoming his own person, and now Far From Home was like, oh, he's becoming his own person again. Now that Tony Stark is dead, I don't know what Sony's gonna do now. I don't know how they're gonna use Tom Holland. I would kill to see Tom Holland in a Spider-Man film, a solo Spider-Man film, where it works off of his acting, it works off of a better script, and it works off of a cast of characters that aren't a joke. I would murder so many children just to see that. I don't know if John Watts is coming back to direct whatever films are in the pipeline, because I read an article earlier that said he was coming back to direct, and now people are unsure because he's been kind of quiet about it. I would love to see this cast and crew do something that didn't have to fit into this nice little puzzle. I'd like to see them branch out and kind of not shake up the formula, because I saw that in Far From Home in the mid-credits scene where, no, now everyone knows he's Spider-Man. Cool. I would love to see something like that, but mean something. Because they did the same thing with Homecoming, where Aunt May figures out that Peter is Spider-Man. And everyone thought that was going to go somewhere. That was going to go somewhere emotional, something interesting. But Far From Home happened, and nothing came from that. So I don't know if this deal being broken will let the cast and crew go nuts, or if they were using this deal as a safety net. I don't know. The only thing I do know is that for the future of Spider-Man, I think it's going to get very interesting. And a lot of people are crying foul, but at this point, I don't think the Marvel Cinematic Universe has a lot that I'm looking forward to. It's clear that they're going a different direction. They're trying to do something else with this. Now that the Infinity Saga is over, now that that's over, they're trying to do something else. They're trying to be, what's the right word? They're trying to be socially aware. Let's keep it at that. And that's just not what I look for in a film. I look for good characters, good characterization, good story, a good plot. I look for all that stuff. And Far From Home, while I enjoyed it, it didn't have that. For me, I didn't see it. Now that Spider-Man is out of the hands of Disney, who knows? And I think that's interesting. I think at the end of the day, I think this is a good thing, because the less characters that Disney has, the better. This monopoly that Disney's trying to acquire, I don't think is helpful to the film industry. Again, I'd rather have a film that tries to do something and fail than see something where nothing really happens. And it boils down to, I'd rather watch Venom again than Far From Home. Because it's just, Venom was fun, but Far From Home, it was also fun, but nothing really, it felt like Tom Holland was trying to do something with it, but because of the script, he couldn't really do much. Tom Hardy went insane on the set of Venom, and I think that's what really sold it. With the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, and even with the solo-produced films, it felt like nothing could go nothing could go the direction that it wanted to. It felt like they were setting up all these interesting plot lines, and then they were cut off at the knees. I don't know who called that. I don't know if it was John Watts. I don't know if it was Disney yanking their chain, or I don't know if it was this mysterious deal that we've still never seen. So I don't know. But I will say, as a fact, the future of Spider-Man is going to be very interesting. There is something else that I've discovered that is very important, in that the Lord Miller Productions that help with Into the Spider-Verse, usually what happens is that they help with a film, and then they bail out to do something else. They did that with the Lego movie. They did that with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. They've done it a couple times. They did it with 21 Jump Street, too. They usually make something and then bail out to do something else. It's what keeps them fresh, admittedly. But Lord and Miller have actually stated that they're staying with this franchise. They're staying with the Spider-Verse franchise. They want to do something with this. And I think that's the golden moment where I'm like, things will work out somehow. It may not work out for everything, but there is a future ahead that is very interesting. Because Lord and Miller are looking into TV opportunities. They're looking into the Spider-Verse sequel. I believe they're helping with the Spider-Verse sequel. Not sure about that. But they're still with these projects. And something else to remember is that Lord and Miller were actually part of directing Solo, a Star Wars story. But then they were kicked out because they were taking a lot of liberties. So, what do you know? What karma. But anyway, as I stated before, the future looks interesting, and we're gonna see how it turns out. Let's see what changes when I upload this, and yeah, because the story changes every 5 minutes.